What film role was 100% perfectly cast? Ali Ermey in Full Metal Jacket. Ermey was originally just a consultant on that movie. He impressed the director so much demonstrating how drill instructors act that he just cast him instead of having him train the actor. As a consolation prize, the actor got the small role as a helicopter door gunner in the second half of the movie. You know, the one who goes get some. Jason Alexander as George Costanza. Richard Attenborough. Welcome to Jurassic Park. Pam Ferris as Trunchbull in Matilda. I remember seeing an interview or behind the scenes video where she stayed in character even during filming breaks, so that the children's fear of her would be more genuine. Kathy Bates in Misery. Leslie Nelson in Airplane. He had been a serious actor to that point and they picked him because they wanted someone to play the role 100% straight. It's weird to see how one generation knows him as a serious actor, while another knows him as a comedic actor. I've talked about that with my grandma a couple times. Edit. Thanks for my first award. Kind friend. I've never had a comment blow up this much. I'm glad I got to teach a few people that Leslie Nielsen was a serious actor. And I love seeing people discuss other actors in the replies. Same with John C. Really. Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown. To piggyback, Thomas F. Wilson as the many versions of Biff Tannen. Griffin Mad Dog Tannen has one of the great 80s villains, and also his choices just fit perfectly in the tone and world they built. Has especially good in part 3. He is criminally underrated when it comes to his role in the success of the trilogy. He could have just played the same character each time, but Biff, Griffin Madigan are believable as different people. I also love his older Biff. John Candy as Uncle Buck. Obligatory upvote for anything John Candy. Such great memories of childhood films and apparently one of the nicest guys in Hollywood. Oh, and let's not forget the great outdoors. Bruce Campbell as Ash. Hail to the king, baby. Also epic as Sam in Burn Notice. You know, spies. Bunch of bitchy little girls. Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. FTFTFTFTFTFTFT. Liver and fava beans. Yum. Sigourney Weaver in Alien. Even better when you know the part was written without a gender specified. I never knew that. That's awesome. That cast was as good as you could get. Sigourney Weaver was phenomenal. Ron Perlman was perfect as Hellboy. My dad, over the years, has gone from being mistaken for Tom Selleck to being mistaken for Ron Perlman. Tim Curry as Frank-N-Furter. Tim Curry as Darkness in Legend. Tim Curry as the Butler in Clue. Tim Curry as Hexxus in Fern Gully. Tim Curry as Pennywise in It. Tim Motherfucking Curry, etc. Ad nauseam. Michael Clark Duncan as John Coffey in The Green Mile. Has also hands down my favorite character in Armageddon. Michael Clark Duncan is a treasure, and we lost him too. Eli was literally known for fans wanting hugs from him instead of photos. Judd Nelson in The Breakfast Club. Imelda Staunton as Umbridge. Gotta hand it to her for such a good performance that it made the entire fandom hate the character. If the movie were a live theatrical performance, during her bow she absolutely would have received the ultimate compliment a crowd can give for a villain performance. To be booed. Don't want to spoil too much, but she appears in The Cursed Child. You could feel the hatred from the audience. It was great. The Princess Bride. As I recently watched the cast reading, I was reminded how perfect they were. I would call out everyone who was particularly awesome, but then this comment would never end. That being said, Mandy Patinkin deserves some award for that performance. Rob Reiner does an impressive Peter Falk impression, and I would still ride away into the sunset with Kari Elwes any day. Ita, thank you for all the awards. I tried to send thank you replies to everyone earlier, but my iPad had a tizzy and some may have not gone through. Kari Elwes' book on the making of the movie is fantastic, the audiobook even better, as the players read and tell stories of how it came together. The tales of Andre are great, and you get a sense of how much everyone loved him. I wish I could met Andre and just given him a big hug. Eddie Murphy in Coming to America. Firstly as Prince Akeem, but the other characters he played including Sexual Chocolate's Randy Watson, the guy at the barber shop, Where's the Soup, closed bracket comma, and others. Fuck you. Fuck you. And fuck you. Hoss next. Classic. The royal penis is clean, your highness. Bryan Cranston as Walter White. Both him and Aaron Paul were made to play those characters. Aaron Paul was so good that it changed the story. Jess was going to be killed off in S1. J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. So good they cast him twice. 3 times. He even voiced Jameson in Ultimate Spider-Man. Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. I couldn't imagine Temple of Doom existing if Tom Selleck got the job for Raiders. Tom Selleck does have swagger to fit the role, but Ford has a special kind of mischievous swagger that just fits the role in a way that gives him so much depth and dimension. It comes up less often, but at the time I thought Alfred Molina as Doc Ock was one of the best cast and played comic book movie villains I'd ever seen. I will not die monster. Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka. So you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir. Oh no. Stop. Don't. Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice. No one could ever compare. I listened to a podcast called The Beetlejuice Minute where each episode covered a minute of the movie. It really opened my eyes to how incredibly talented Michael Keaton is as an actor. My personal favorite moment is when he says he wants to get out and Lydia replies that she wants to get in. There's a split second where his showman facade drops and he says, "Why? It's so subtle and I never noticed it before." This is heartbreaking because he was Juno's assistant, which means he killed himself. You can see on his face the confusion and horror at this teenage girl wanting to die. Gilbert Gottfried as Iago. James Earl Jones voices Darth Vader. To add on to that, his voice as Mufasa. Can we just agree that his voice is perfect? So good that he was the only voice actor that they recast in the live action Lion King. His voice is Mufasa. Edit. Not saying it was good thing that he was the only voice actor recast, but that his voice is so good for that role that they realized they couldn't replace him with anyone else. Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men. He tried to decline the role, said it was too dark for him, then complained about losing any chance of getting laid if he got the Anton Chigurh haircut. Edit. Spelling is hard. He got Penelope Cruz. Doubt he would struggle to get laid even with that hideous haircut. Ivana Lynch as Luna Lovegood. Yeah, she did the lost, but not lost feeling I get from Luna in the books very well. I once described Luna as down to earth. Just not our earth. Apostrophe. Robin Williams as the genie. If I'm not mistaken, the genie was actually written with him in mind. He was hesitant to take the role, so they had animators knock up some scenes using voiceovers from his stand-up gigs. He agreed for a low price, $75K, on the condition that Genie wouldn't be used to sell merchandise. Disney did it anyway, which is why he no longer voiced Genie. Maggie Smith as Prof McGonagall in the HP series. Maggie Smith as the Dowager Countess. Maggie Smith as Ducking Anything. She's just glorious. Christian Bale as Patrick Bateman. My favorite part about that character is that Bale admitted that it was more or less him doing an impression of real life Tom Cruise the entire time. And after learning that I can't unsee it, there's actually a great part in the book where Patrick Bateman gets in an elevator with Tom Cruise and keeps trying to talk to him while Tom blows him off. Bateman has an existential crisis over the moment. Ian McKellen as Gandalf. Ian McDiarmid as Palpatine. Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. Johnny Depp absolutely carried that franchise. He gets all the acting praise for quirky Jack Sparrow, but no one tops Jeffrey Rush's Barbossa in my opinion. Anthony Starr as Homelander. I'm so uneasy every time he's on screen. That scene on the plane in the first season is chilling. That scene in the latest episode, which turned out to be just him imagining it. Holy, I was like, that's how terrifyingly easy it is for him. Everyone in the original The Mummy. Mr. Bean. Rowan Atkinson as Mr. Bean is on top. Johnny English is more of another kind of Bean. I'd say Johnny English is more like an adopted Blackadder relative. Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier and Ian McKellen as Magneto. Michael Fassbender as young Magneto is perfect. One of the things that makes him so interesting in the role is his accent. Michael Fassbender is Irish, but he also speaks German fluently. His father, I think, is German born. and he spent time in Germany growing up while playing Magneto. The way he says some words when he's speaking English makes him sound like someone whose first language was not English, as Magneto's speech would probably realistically sound at that point in his life. Creed Bratton as Creed Bratton. Nobody steals from Creed Bratton and gets away with it. The last person to do this disappeared. His name, Creed Bratton. John Malkovich and being John Malkovich. Malkovich. Matthew Lillard as Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. He earned it too. He would go off by himself and scream at the top of his lungs to get his voice hoarse to the point where he could pull off sounding like Shaggy. Imagine it's your first day at a catering company. You know you're gonna work at the film studio and you're pretty psyched. After all, how often do you get to have a day like that? You're out back setting up in the parking lot when out of a back door comes Shaggy. Hey, you think you love Scooby-Doo? You and your dad used to watch it all the time. This must be the guy that plays Shaggy. Maybe you can, just for a second, go over and tell him how cool it is to see Shaggy eye roll. Then Shaggy faces the open parking lot and screams bloody murder. You feel the color drain from your face. Shaggy screams and screams until his voice goes hoarse, then goes inside. You quit that day. Maybe Hollywood isn't for you. Jim Carrey, The Mask. 1994. Jim Carrey was on another level. Ace Ventura, Mask, Dumb and Dumber. Christoph Waltz as Hans Lander in Inglourious Bastards. Ooh, that's a bingo. Am I saying that right? That's a bingo? Apostrophe. You just say bingo. Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn. Sir Christopher Lee as Saruman. Billy Boyd as Pippin. Sir Ian McKellen as Gandalf. Andy Serkis as Gollum. Before his audition take, Gollum was going to be a voiceover-only character. Serkis barely counts. If he read out his shopping list, it'd still be an award-winning performance. Arnold Schwarzenegger as Terminator. Edit. Holy shit. This is my highest voted post and I've never gotten so many awards before. Thanks everyone. Fun fact. James Cameron originally wanted Lance Henriksen as the Terminator and Schwarzenegger as Kyle Reese. He also wanted Oj Simpson to play the Terminator in the first movie. But when Oj auditioned for the role, James Cameron thought he was too friendly and nice to accurately portray a killing machine like the T-800. I mean, Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. Many people are perfect casts, but few edge out any competition. That it's impossible to see anyone else playing the character. When I first saw him, I was like, no way. He's too tall and skinny. Didn't take long for me to revise that opinion. Didn't he dress up as Wolverine and walk around at a Comic-Con? Then some dude was like, nice costume buddy, but you're too tall. Apostrophe. Jeff Bridges is the dude now to me in every movie he is in. Harold Ramis as Egan Spengler. Sorry Venkman. I'm terrified beyond the capacity for rational thought. Apostrophe. Everyone in The Big Lebowski. Well, that's just like your opinion. Man. Fuck it, I'm watching it again tonight. Edit. I'm watching it. Christian Bale as Patrick Bateman. One of my favorite performances in any film. Bill Murray in Caddyshack. Peter Dinklage as Tyrion Lannister. Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. Barbossa was also perfectly cast. Jack Sparrow doesn't shine without a good, well-written villain. One of the things that's missing from more recent films. They keep getting good actors to play the villain. Ian McShane, Javier Bardem, but then severely underutilize their characters. I maintain the first three were solid. Davy Jones as a whole was a god tier antagonist. Everything about him to me is perfect. Bill Nighy has my respect forever because he gave stature and presence to a squid man with a limp. Jaws, Robert Shaw as Quint. LOTR, Ian McKellen as Gandalf. I know Christopher Lee really wanted the role, but I don't think he would have nailed the wholesome and hopeful aspects of the character the way McKellen did. That being said, Lee was an excellent for Saruman. Jack Black in School of Rock. Audrey Hepburn as Holly Golightly, though not all the casting in that movie was necessarily the best. I just watched this movie for the first time a few years ago, and I winced each time Mickey Rooney was on screen. Dwight in The Office. Rain auditioned for Jim. Could you imagine? He auditioned for the role of Michael. Joaquin Phoenix as Johnny Cash in Walk the Line. Patrick Stewart as Captain Picard. Alan Rickman as Severus Snape, aside from the fact that he was 20 years too old and they had to adapt many other cast members to his age. Sirius, Lupin, Peter Pettigrew, James and Lily. All these people were supposed to be in their 30s during the events of the books. James and Lily were born in 1960. They're only 21 years older than Harry, and Sirius, Lupin, Pettigrew and Snape were in the same year as them at Hogwarts. Imagine being such a terrific actor you can be 20 years older than the character you play and not only get away with it, but inadvertently influence 5 future casting choices, which actually ending up making even more amazing casting choices. Gary Oldman, David Thewlis, and Timothy Spall were absolutely perfect in their roles. David Hasselhoff as David Hasselhoff in the SpongeBob movie. Not related, but I love that movie so much. Definitely a staple of my childhood. We are going on a weenie hunt and don't know how to weed him out. Apostrophe. Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn. So glad they recast. Poor Stuart Townsend. Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds in Van Wilder. Ryan Reynolds in Waiting. Ryan Reynolds in Just Friends. Ryan Reynolds. He's always typecast as a douche, which is ironic because he's so nice. Tom Hiddleston as Loki. The fact that he was auditioning as Thor and instead cast as Loki is such a perfect setup as Loki's need for worth. John Krasinski, Jim from The Office, auditioned for Captain America. He was putting the suit on and Chris Hemsworth dressed as Thor walked past and said alright mate, and John just took the suit off and was like nah, apostrophe. Tom Ellis as Lucifer. Malcolm McDowell in A Clockwork Orange. Danny DeVito as the Penguin. Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future. Dustin Hoffman in Tootsie. Bette Midler in Beaches. Julie Andrews in The Sound of Music. Keanu Reeves as John Wick. Keanu Reeves as Mia. Keanu Reeves. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.